See,
Yeah.
Oh, shucks, we missed half of this call already. Let's try that again. So, Paul, pick up from where you were. We're just talking about the event that took place this weekend in Vancouver, BC, and getting an update on what were the highlights of that event. And that being a very strategic and important event because it was essentially a kickoff. Myself and Luis Casuga, the CEO of NICAN, rarely do ever appear together anywhere. And when we do, it's kind of a really wonderful experience from my point of view. I'll tell you a bit of my point of view, but Paul, why don't you start again? What was the highlight for you?
well, the highlight was that there were many consultants from around BC and new guests, and it was just a coming together of the BC organization, and we must do it again.
Okay, that's a better choice of words. At first, before the recording started,
I had said, I hope we do it again.
And I said, I hope. Oh, Mr. Hope, Mrs. Hope, are you on the call? Are you out there? Are you going to do it again? So yeah, we have to take responsibility for our business and make decisions. It's all about that. So if you felt that this event was a good event and worthwhile, contributes to the vision, contributes to understanding. I'll tell you what, I will tell my part, but I hope you got a better understanding about what NICAN's doing on the planet from Luis's presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that was huge as far as I'm concerned with kind of a simple, very simple way of communicating what exactly what is this conversation about and why is it relevant to everybody? But getting back to the event itself, were there any other highlights of the event besides, okay, yeah, we had BC come together and it was great. It was great fun. It was a great venue. We had great weather. The whole thing went off on time. It finished on time. We had great food. We had lots of leftovers. Well, I'm sure Maggie and Roxanne have lots of leftovers. You probably still have leftovers.
Yeah. We're working through it.
Good. Paul, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
Well, as usual, you did a wonderful job, explaining the vision and, how to get started with the business and connecting that with Luis. And so, yeah, we must do it again.
Yeah, I think I want to take this dog and pony show myself and Luis on the road because it really was a winner as far as I'm concerned. We'll come back to because we didn't get the recording on until after the fact, but we'll come back to Maggie. But right, Roxanne, you're there. What were the highlights for you?
Well, it was a phenomenal weekend for one thing. All of the preparations for it, just came off swimmingly. I really liked the idea of having it broken up a little bit with the door prizes. But what really stuck out for me was there were a lot of young people there, and in speaking with young people, and including my young guest, they're looking for what we have to offer. And I think sometimes, us gray hairs can get stuck in a bit of a rut on who this will appeal to. But I'm telling you, the millennials are hungry for exactly what we are offering here. And that was so apparent to me in speaking to a lot of them afterwards, after the event. And it caused me to go back and listen again to the interview. I think you just posted it again, and it was an interview you did about 6 years ago with Richard Bliss Brooke. And I sent it to a number of young people today and said, this is more relevant now than it was even 6 years ago. So don't be put off by the date. And then, a couple of them got back to me and said, wow, I had no idea that NICAN was so great. And I went, yeah, and it is kind of, it's hard to grasp just how it is, because we have all of us have mindsets about everything. And maybe I had a mindset that this wouldn't appeal to a lot of young people, but circumstances intervened, and I realized a lot of young people who really do want what we are offering. So that was a highlight for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just have to say, just the way it was led off with Luis presenting what he presented, which was really about the East versus the West approach to well-being, and how eye-opening, and of course that was the intro into biomimicry, but how eye-opening that was, and how relevant it was, how rich and deep it is. And I think the millennials, especially the few that were there, really can identify with that message. And then to talk about the back end of this was leveraged income, and how to convey or communicate the idea that a job is a job and a lifestyle. Almost every one of the millennials, one of the top priority things that I asked one of them, what was her top priority? You know, what was she really looking for? I said, fast forward, it's the year's 2030. What does life look like? First words out of her mouth was travel. So, and that's like exactly listening to my daughters. That's what they want to do, is travel. So travel is not something that you can do at your leisure if you've got a job. So they're in conflict with their prospects for earning income relative to the kind of lifestyle that they want to have. And we talked about the idea of lifestyle, not just income, but lifestyle, because it doesn't have to cost a lot to have the lifestyle of your dreams. But if you're not even clear on how to achieve your lifestyle, your desired lifestyle, then you're going to be stuck, like most people are, in a rut for 40 years working a job from one to the next. Anyway, the nature of the conversation, I felt this event changed, and I want to really start to highlight what it was about the conversation that I think we need to adopt, like everybody. So Maggie, you're back on because we missed you on the recording. So what were the highlights for you, if you wouldn't mind repeating?
Okay, I'll repeat those, and I want to add one. The highlight for me was that we had so many guests, and the age range from 9 months. We had a baby there because this gal said, well, I have a 7-month-old baby. And I said, well, this is a family business, bring him. So she did, and she was delighted that she couldn't get all of it in. She had to take him for a nap. However, it just felt really good to be able to offer that. And Edna, the other gal who is under Patty Sutcliffe, she texted me because she left just before the end. And I thought, well, I wonder why she's leaving. She said, I had to go to my job. So I think that was really a great experience for her. The other thing that was a highlight for me was how much the team that put this together and helped me deliver it was so fun and gracious and grateful. We had so much fun. We worked really hard, and we had a great time. And my son, my older son, who lives in town since my car is no longer available to me, he delivered all the food and the coffee, which was great. Even, and he said, what was that? He knows Monique and he loves the products, but he doesn't get the business, and that's okay. So it was great to have him there. And the other highlight was when Joan, my new silver from Atlin, BC, came in via Zoom, and not from Atlin, but from their summer camp on the river, almost at the Yukon border. And she was brilliant, wasn't she? Oh my gosh, she's a beautiful person. She was so authentic, and her message about what her purpose is to change the way things go for people on reservations particularly. But she said, it's not just us. The biggest reason for children being taken from their families is finances. So
like small finances between $250 and $500 a month is enough to keep a mother and her child together.
Exactly. So that really hit home for me because I've seen that. And then at the end, she panned to her husband who was sound asleep on the sleep system. Best product testimony you could have. He slept through the whole thing. And it's made a
Fantastic.
huge difference. So yeah, that, and just, having, not just, but having you there and Luis there, what a powerful combination. And it just flowed. It was fantastic. And we had time to socialize afterwards and debrief. And I just
And
felt so
even
privileged.
lunch felt
Yes,
like it didn't even have to be
exactly.
as long as it was. It
No.
was great. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was. And we, because it was so beautiful out, we just threw the doors open onto the patio. People could wander in and out and sit in the sun, right, Mary Ellen? You were just soaking up the sun out there. And Kenko seemed pretty comfortable as the
Yeah.
guide dog in the room. And I just felt
Barbara was
it really
asking for
inclusive.
the numbers. Would you recap on the numbers?
They're on.
17 and 13.
Thank you. I can't remember it. Roxanne just said it's 17 consultants, 13 guests, and Luis for a total of 31.
Fantastic. Okay. Awesome. Mary Ellen, thanks, Maggie. If you think of anything else, jump in. Mary Ellen, you were there. You're on mute right now. If you can unmute and just tell us what your point of view, your perspective.
She's trying to unmute, I'm
Yeah, I
sure.
can see that. Yeah, she's sinking into the weeds there in the background.
Okay.
Can you unmute, Mary Ellen? You're on it. Okay, good.
She might be on her, but I don't know.
Oh, I think she's on her phone.
Yeah, but it should.
There.
There
There you
she
go.
is.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Okay.
forgot that I had to say okay before to the meeting being recorded before I
Ah.
could unmute. Well, the most interesting thing to me is that always before calling people and saying, I need your help, this is important to me. I'm looking for people who want this, not to convince people, but I'm looking for people who are looking for what we have. That's always been hard for me. And today I effortlessly asked 2 people to help. So that was a big change for me.
How'd it go?
And oh, they both said they would, of course. Now, one of them said, I'm not sure this is for me. And I said, doesn't matter. People, I'm not in the convincing business. I'm in the finding business.
Mhm.
And so if you can help me find people, that's great. And he said, well, I'll think about that. And then he said, I think I have a customer account. I should look and see what's changed. And so, even though he says it's not for him, he obviously was doing a little looking, which is more than I wanted, more than I expected. And I'm not, I'm just hoping he'll give me a name. And another person hasn't responded yet, but she said she will look at what we send and think about people to refer. And I can ask people to do that all day long. So that was to find that not the least bit scary or unnerving is brand new for me. So that's a
Wow.
good thing.
That's
Mm.
huge.
Great.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've been really interested in the whole politics, emotions, everything surrounding what has happened with the COVID crisis over the last 4 years. And it has distracted me from a lot of other things in my life. And my new theme in my mind about what NICAN stands for, because of what Luis said about combining and not making the East and the West in conflict, but taking the best from both and expanding our own horizons about what wellness really means. Now my internal thinking about things like the pandemic is next time, if you're prepared, you won't have to be scared.
Nice.
So
Yeah, good.
So that's what has happened to me. I just feel so much better about things. I'm not much for parties, but I think it could be very fun in the context of asking people to come to help me. I've decided we're having a pink party, a ladies' night out pink party on the 28th of May. So there you go.
Awesome. Nice. Fun. That's the
Yeah.
key.
Yeah.
That is the key. If it isn't fun, I'm not doing it. So let's have fun. Make it fun. People want to have fun these days. And I hope you found that this weekend was fun, those of you who were there. Let's see. Let me just give you my perspective too. I already mentioned how amazing it was for me to present with Luis, but more specifically, the flow of the information was so succinct. It really informed my presentation, his presentation, the way he went about it. And I think the fact, and then my presentation informed his. So he started off, and then I went, and then we had products, we had lunch and break, and then I came back with business, and then he went off with leveraged income. And in between, we had stories. We shared stories, both product stories and business stories. One of which was Joan Jack's story, bringing her in via Zoom live for the audience, which was again a hybrid event. Something that you should consider for Seiko Kai coming up this weekend. It's just a brilliant way to bring the outside world into your space, and for the people in your space to connect to the outside world of Nikken, so they perceive a much bigger Nikken, a much more versatile Nikken. Anyway, it was a fantastic conversation. It was very emotional, actually. Luis got very, very emotional, as did Joan. Because of his incredible gratitude for being given the opportunity to actually reach into the Aboriginal community and start to make an inroad there through her and her efforts. And of course, it's so natural for them to perceive what we're doing as legitimate, because it's the way they do things. It's the way they do life. So Leo's not on, but I was going to ask him about his event. He also had an event this weekend, and it was a launch, an in-home, and they had 13 people, I think, in that event, and the start of 3 or 4 new businesses as a result of that. So, you know, it's just so much more fun, and being in an environment with people, hanging out with people you like, and talking about the stuff that you like to talk about. And, you know, it's funny because you almost don't need to even sell the product, because it should sell itself. If you're in an environment where you're of like-minded people, you're talking about these issues that are totally relevant, and Nikken's solutions are completely obvious, then it should be self-obvious that people will want these products for themselves and in their homes. So we just need more opportunities for these conversations to happen. And that's why we need to have more invitations to a party, a friendly get-together. I loved my highlight, by the way. Well, there's a few. Of course, I love the Afghan Horseman. And that's my favorite restaurant when in Vancouver. It's a simple thing. It's a simple place, but you sit on pillows on the ground, and they kind of improvise like a sultan's tent, and you have this wonderful Afghani food. But for me, the highlight was sitting in Maggie's living room. I think we're all, I don't know, 7 or 8 of us, and sipping on some really nice wine, and having a debrief, and just carrying the conversation forward with who was there in a more relaxed, casual environment, and Nikken Wellness Home. So again, it just tells you, where do we actually have the most fun? When is it that we are having the most fun? And if we want to have more of fun, then we just need to have more get-togethers. And what we're talking about is so on point and so relevant. I even asked that, by the way, in the meeting. One of the first slides is a slide that has the 5 pillars, and I said, to the audience, just shout out. If you had to change 2 things, if you want to improve 2 things, 2 areas this year, the most top priority areas for 2024, what would they be? And of course, when you take a poll of an audience, what do you think you're going to get? Finances is number one and body is
Body.
number
Body
two.
number two.
So here we are, square dab in the middle of that conversation. And of course, the PowerPoint leads in that direction. So, but the point to be made is if you're the one who has a solution in the two most prevalent area of needs, and this talks to the business opportunity. When we get to the slide that shows the cash flow quadrants, I love this conversation. You don't see it in this slide, but on one side it says trading time for money, and the other one it says adding value. And so the way to increase your financial prospect is to become more valuable. Well, most people, they trade time as their value, whatever it is that you are or do to serve. You have a certain amount of time that you allocate to do that. And if you want to increase your value, you have to increase the amount of time. Whereas what we're talking about on the other side of the equation, the cash flow quadrants, is you want to increase your value independent of time. How do you do that? Well, number one, you have to know what is considered valuable. So if you take stock of the marketplace, and we did, what's valuable? A solution to finances and a solution to body. That's the two top priorities. So if you've got an answer to that, you've already increased your value in society. Now you just got to increase your distribution of that value. How do you do that? Get more people involved. Let your influence others, leveraging the NECAN system. And all of a sudden now you've got something of great value that you're distributing independent of time. And that's how you're generating income independent of time. It's brilliant. And to convey it that way, to help people understand that that's the machine, that's the mechanism, then it helps them to understand why the industry or the system is so relevant. And I talked about the system. I didn't really speak about network marketing per se. It was, you need a system. The people who are on the right side of the cash flow quadrants leverage a system. Uber, a system. Amazon, a system. NECAN, a system. So we have a system, a turnkey system that can help people be like the pebble in a pond, have a ripple effect that can go on and can be measured and can be compensated on. Now, that's the best thing. By the way, I'm going back. This is really going back. I remember having a conversation with Bob Proctor when he was first entertaining NECAN for himself and for Linda. And I said, Bob, how do you know what you did was effective? He says, well, the sales of the companies would go up. And did you participate in those sales? No. So the feedback loop is the productivity of the company that you helped on with your education, your understanding went up, but you don't receive the benefits of that. That's the difference here. When you help people become more successful, you receive it directly through NECAN, the benefits of that. So there's a direct correlation as to whether or not you're succeeding, you're helping, and whether or not you're being compensated for it. It's directly tied to the compensation plan. So just another thing, because there's a lot of people who influence people but aren't compensated for it. An example, when you influence people to go to a restaurant, when you influence people to go to a movie theater, when you influence people to anything of that nature, chances are you're not getting a check for that influence. Maggie.
Yeah, I wanted to remark on how powerful for me it was when you gave the pebble in the pond example, not because of starting that 33 years ago, but the understanding that you conveyed so well is that you're not going to throw that next big pebble. It's going to be the new generation, the people like the millennials and the Gen Zs or whatever they are now. I can't keep track of them, but it's that kind of, and that was really a relief for me because I'm 77 and I'm not as young as I used to be when I started this business, and I still have the ability to attract people that I think can do that. So
yes,
that's really exciting.
This is really where the veterans in NECAN can shine. I love when Dennis Williams said, if you don't think you can do this, that's okay. Just find someone who can.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what we're talking about. We're talking about the need for NICAN to carry on, the need for this message to infiltrate or to become part of the culture of the next generations, the ones that we haven't really addressed. And they need a spokesperson. They're going to need their spokesperson, their representative, to take it to their market. So what we're looking for is that representative. So for instance, Jessica, she could be an amazing representative for her generation. She was what, 30 something?
32.
32. So here's a 32-year-old, sharp as a tack, and counting background, business background, and she could be somebody who could really make waves for that demographic, that generation between 30, 40. You know, when I started NICAN, I was 27, but I didn't sponsor anybody 27 or younger. Everybody I sponsored was older than me. So, but the point is, we need to have people sponsoring 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds and you know, 45-year-olds. And typically, if you're going to make a movement in that field, in that demographic, then you need a spokesperson. You need the person who represents that movement, who can champion that cause to that generation. So that's who we're on the hunt for. We're on the hunt for those people. So start asking, listen, I need your help. I'm looking for someone in this age group who's really hungry and wants to pioneer the introduction of a new technology to their demographic, to their generation. Wow, what a great invite. And who knows who they're going to lead you to. And they're going to be respectful and mindful of our age and our age gap, because they already know we're introducing this to a new generation. We're looking for that person who could best represent that generation, or could champion the cause for that generation. So it helps us be older and not be embarrassed about it or apologize for it. It's like, listen, you know, I mean, I had my day. It's time for somebody to have theirs. And I just hope that somebody's in my group. That'd be great, because then I can, you know, watch the progress and ride the wave. So, but that's it. That's really what we're talking about here. And I know if we asked for it, if we asked for the help, look, we're looking for people that represent this demographic to champion the introduction of a new technology to this generation. With that comes tremendous opportunity. If you know somebody.
Mike, I was also thinking there are 3 people who had a tremendous influence on the growth of NICAN in BC, Mark, Bruce, and Bo. And they weren't even there, but their influence was felt. And of course, you found Bruce, and you know that because of that talk that you had with Bruce in Toronto, now we have this event. It just doesn't stop the influence that a person can have if they do this, if they do it right and do it consistently.
It's interesting because I'll come to you in a second, Barbara. I just saw a quote, courage to confidence. When I made that call to Bruce, I was not confident. I was courageous. So that courage led to a sense of humility. So I was fairly humble when I went to see him, and hence asking him for his help rather than, you know, pontificating like I had something I could help him with, which would have been demeaning of him. Instead, it was incredibly edifying to him to ask him for his help. And when he saw what it was, which required no convincing on my part, he wanted it. So all I needed was a fair audience with somebody who was willing to entertain just a little bit of information, and the rest, the magic happens. And if it took courage to get that audience, then there's my contribution to the equation. Because I didn't invent Nikan, I didn't invent the product. The experience I had was a result. And so, yeah, it's
Like-
just, it's a simple process. It's a very
That's
simple
actually what I
process.
wanted to touch on,
Yeah.
Mike. It's perfect that you were saying that, because what we have and what y'all did was leveraging Luis, leveraging the company, leveraging your expertise. But when we started out, or I can say for myself, when I started out, I was not a presenter. I was not that confident. I had to jump on the skirt tails of other people that helped me get the vision across to other people. And just doing that, and for lack of a better word, mimicking that, right? And using the videos and the things and I just want to underline that Nikan has some things that no other company has, which is HBM, humans being more, and giving your own self-confidence. And this right here, this right now, your call is a collaboration of people that are not on your team, and some are, but some aren't. But that we do that, or that you do this for us, is tremendous. And no other company does that.
Mhm.
And I just want to underline and give kudos and all that, and I don't even know, I know you had people at Vancouver, but I think, and I was going to underline too, the segue from COVID, there's a fear-based thing, but it's like, guys, we just have to get out there and reach out and ask. If your house isn't ready, ask somebody whose house is ready. People are willing to help you. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, I just wanted to underline that, Mike, that is a distinction that no other company has in Nikan, that Nikan has and brings to the table, is this collaboration, this working together, the system you put together, all the different things. I mean, kudos to you, Maggie, for hosting it and launching it and getting it rolling. And I look forward to hearing more about all the things that come out of this, because that's tremendous.
Yeah.
You've got a great team going.
When is it gonna be closer to?
Well, let's transition this then to the last part that I wanted to cover, which is what now, what next, right? How do you take this event and pivot, make it the start of something, not the conclusion of something? It was, yes, the conclusion of preparation and planning and so forth, but it should be the beginning of independent enterprises that can continue to collaborate. So one of the things we were talking, Maggie, you didn't hear us at your end of the table. We were talking at our end of the table for dinner on Saturday, was how important it is to keep the ball rolling. I know Sonia was in that conversation. And what I mean by keeping the ball rolling is, I was on a call earlier tonight and I was talking about, and it was, what, I'm going to post that video of my interview with Richard Brooke, because man, it's an education. That video is an education. It's not just my story. It's an actual.
It is. It's a training.
It's a training. He really dissects it and gets me to walk you through the experience. But what I was talking about, it was on Leo's call actually, was in my story, what worked was I put a team together, and then that team launched a calendar of events. That's how we launched Canada. I put a team together, and that team launched a calendar of events. And in that calendar we knew the venue, we knew where we were going to be, and we made a point of all being there. And then, of course, since we were going to be there, inviting people, and we used our time together at those events to tell the story. And we got better at it. We didn't have PowerPoints. I remember my very first presentation was based on listening to an audio cassette over and over and over, and taking my notes like I did it when I was in school studying, taking my short notes, which were really, I don't think anybody could possibly read my notes. I can barely read myself. But I made a presentation schematic of what I heard, and that's how we did the presentation, that first presentation. But what really moved the audience were the product demos, were the immediate on-site experiences that people were having. That's when things just took on a life of its own. That's when we went ballistic, because it wasn't based on how skilled we were. It was based on the actual experience itself. That was something people were participating in. So if I look at what is the magic of getting this business started for somebody, and we're going to turn to you in a second, Leo, because you just did something this weekend of this kind. It's getting a group of people together and having an experience like we did in Vancouver this weekend. But doing that repeatedly is what creates momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And momentum is what creates rank advancements. It's what creates paychecks. It's what creates business stories and so forth. So, Leo, tell us about your weekend.
Oh, nice. Sorry about I'm late tonight. You know why? My new consultant, you see her 2 hours ago, Margaret, she's on fire. She met me with somebody from Vancouver tonight. I just finished with her. And I sent to her my step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And my new consultant, she signed up when we finish the month, 7 people right now. 7 people.
Wonderful, Leo.
She
Wish I
sat,
could do that.
she signed up 7 people
Yeah.
for new consultants.
Already, we just 1 or 2 tomorrow, 2 this weekend. And the girl, the woman tonight, I talk about you, Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
She's bilingual. She speaks French and English. And I talk about Mike for the ABC call for the English people. But this weekend, I met 18 people with her.
18?
18, yes. On 3 presentations. One big one on her house. You see the picture?
Yep.
You have 12 people on there. And I finished the meeting with 5 new consultants and 7 guests, 7 customers.
Under Margaret, the 5 consultants, or is that all from her?
Oh, yes, all from her.
Oh my God. How did you find her? Sorry, Mike, but that's like, how do you find somebody like that, huh?
You know
You
what,
attract them.
Paul? Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just going to say, let's look at the logistics here. She exists, right? She's alive. How old is she, Leo?
68.
She's been alive for 60 years. So she's out there. She and others like her are actually out there. The problem is we're not finding them because we're not looking for them fast
Yeah.
enough, hard enough, with as much of a dedication and commitment. Or we would be turning over a lot more, as Zio likes my card metaphor. You turn over the cards looking for the ace. You just keep turning over the cards until you hit those aces. And then you just keep turning over the cards until you hit the next ace. But most people turn over a card and they hope and pray and wish and do everything they think they can to turn that 2 into an ace.
Mm-hmm.
She's on my Telegram contact. And I see her by Zoom 3 years ago.
Wow.
Just contact me. It said, Leo, are you another book to recommend to me? She all I say, she buy a book or agenda, everything. I never see her in person, live, first Saturday. I said, of course. And I said, hey, I have 2 questions for you. You know my strategy? She said, yes. What's your project? I sent her to step 1.
Wait. Most people haven't heard your 2 questions. What are your 2 questions?
I said, Margaret, for take a vacation, vacation. That's what
Vacation, yeah.
you have time, bus permission, and money. She said, yes. Do you know somebody like to have vacation when you want, where you want? Of course, she said, yes. First good question. Second one, I said, Margaret, 82% of people hate job for the money, for the paycheck, for the boss, everything. I said, yeah, yes. Do you know somebody like retired before 3 years? She said, yes. Okay, I send you step one, and I begin my conversation with that. And I sent to her 4 steps last Monday. Bang, 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 the same day. She's too excited. I said, what next? What you do this weekend? Nothing. That's why I got to be on your place for Saturday. That's it. And for the rest of the month, Mike, I just have a meeting after this meeting tonight. For the rest of the month, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm going to be her place for meeting. You know what? She wants to come to California first. She decided to come to California. She decided to be gold this month.
Gold.
Gold. You understand what I say? Gold.
Yeah.
Yes,
Gold.
that's good.
And the first, we signed it this weekend. She on the Zoom tonight. She wanted to be silver this month. She just showed the, how to say that, momentum, create. And all the weekend for the rest of the month, I go to he said, I want to have my place, but I move. She keep me for sleep. She have a better breakfast. She have a
I'm
better,
still stuck in executive, Leo. I've been stuck there for God knows how long.
yeah.
So,
You know?
so let me recap then. Kind of what we talked about earlier. Build a team and a calendar of events. And Leo's doing both simultaneously. He found somebody. They had an in-home, found a bunch of people, and now there's a reason to have a calendar of events. Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the rest of the month. So it's not rocket science, guys, but that is what it takes, and that's what works.
You see, just before, and Barbara, she have a question. The first question, when I signed up somebody, the first, you see, he said, yes. My two main question is, what's your dream? I want you. And when? Mike, you asked me that tonight. What's your dream, Leo? I want to be the first Royal Diamond. When? Before the end of this month, this year. Right, Asa? What I say? I asked her, what's your dream? Do you like to make 1,000 to 5,000 a month? I said, yeah, when? Soon as possible, 1 month, 2 months. I said, okay, fine. We'll go. Do you want to come to travel to a convention? Yes. She always said, yes, yes, yes. I said, okay, I'm in. She's in, I'm in. Right. Barbara, you have any question? For me or for her?
Yes, question for you, Leo.
Wait,
Did you say that she has a bed and breakfast?
yes?
Okay, that's how I started in Nican. I owned and operated a bed and breakfast.
Okay.
And we had a challenge at the bed and breakfast with a guest snoring that was disturbing other guests. And we had to give a refund because of it. Just a couple of days after that, I was introduced to Nican. And it solved the problem with my hubby, who was creating the snoring challenge. And I put sleep systems in all the guest rooms. They all had access to the Pi water. And we had a little notice in each room that if you have a challenge, speak to your hosts, and in capital letters and quotations, they may be able to help. And we had people coming out of the woodwork with all kinds of challenges. And we knew nothing about the products at that point, but we had purchased a number of them. So we said, here, try this. We don't know if it'll make a difference or not, but we'd appreciate your feedback. And we used the same product for a lot of different questions and challenges, and everybody got results. So it was because of that that we took a look at the business behind Nican and joined the company. But if she's got a bed and breakfast, we became the first wellness bed and breakfast in Ontario, she could become the wellness B&B in her locale. Just something to think about, and you might want to share with her.
I already share with her that ID. That
Yeah,
already.
it works. It works
Oh,
so
yeah.
well.
Thank you for your testimonial, but I already said to her, hey, how many rooms we have here? 6. Click, 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 click.
Yep.
She just started this weekend. Give me a break, but you know what? I made a plan with her.
She's on her way. She's a rocket.
I made a plan with her. I sent to her today. I said, if you see my plan this month, she club 500, club 1,500, executive silver and gold on the first month for her, and next month platinum. And
Wow.
you know what?
Congratulations, Leo. That's wonderful.
She want to be diamond for a convention.
So Leo,
Fantastic.
tell the group what you're reading.
Oh, reading. What to me? Okay, what I read a lot of book every day.
What are you reading right now?
I didn't just a minute. En français, one is
Wait.
recommended by you.
Which one?
Conscience, just
This one?
yes. Every night before the bed, this one.
The
The
Power
other-
of Awareness. Power of
Yes.
Awareness by Neville.
Yes. And the other one, on this moment, you Born Rich by Bob Proctor.
Born Rich, Bob Proctor, one. All right, so Patrick, that was for you.
And the other one, morning, I did. Do you read the book Miracle Morning for Network Marketer? Who read that?
Who's read that book, Miracle Morning for Network Marketers?
Yes.
No.
No, I haven't read that.
Who's that by?
Just a minute. I go get it.
Is that Thalia?
No. Faria, see, that's 45 seconds.
Oh, that book.
That no, another book is just I have it. You see it?
Miracle Morning.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just hold that up. I'm going to pin you so it can be big spotlighted. Okay, Miracle Morning. Grow yourself first to grow your business fast. And I can't see what's under the word morning. Who is that?
Hal Elrod.
Hal?
The Miracle Morning for Network Marketer.
That's it.
First to grow your business fast.
Grow yourself first to grow your business fast. Okay,
Yeah.
so
And
now
who's the author?
Al, just a minute.
HAL or just AL?
Would you see Al
L.
Elrod?
Hold it up again.
You can't see it.
Can't
It's
see
too
it,
bright.
Leo.
Okay,
What?
Hold it up.
you can type it in the chat.
12 Al HOL
Hal, okay.
H-A-L, yeah.
Elrod ELROD.
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 Hal Elrod. ELROD.
R-O-D. Mhm.
Very nice book, and that's what I do every morning before start to work.
You program your mind.
Yes, I read another book morning. The other one is from who's just a minute. I am on my phone because I sent to my group. Just a minute.
While he's looking that up, let me look at this one.
Uh-huh.
This is Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire, Richard Bliss Brooke. This is another one that is in the same vein. The idea is grow yourself first if you want to grow your business fast.
You see, that is in
Power
French.
of the conscience.
Yeah, the power of consciousness. That's That's this one here.
That's Neville, yeah.
Yeah, The Power of Awareness by Neville.
And the other one, I have a routine. The science or Wallace B. Waddle in
Oh,
French.
The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace
Yes,
Wattles.
B. Waddles.
yes.
Wallace D. Wattles.
This one is for when I get up, okay? And the other one's when I sleep tonight.
So
before-
let me ask you, Leo, why did you choose to start reading these types of books?
to mind me to abundance. I'm focused to, it's better read that than Montreal Journal,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
So essentially what Leo's saying is, the reason why I called this call Aligning with Success, because success already exists. You as a success already exists in the quantum field, in the quantum field of all possibilities. You want to turn possibility into probability and then probability into fact. That's how we actually manifest into this world. We take all possibilities, turn them into probabilities by contemplation, thinking about them, imagining them, and then we turn them into fact by attracting them, by living as though those are realities. So what Leo is doing is he's creating an awareness within himself of abundance. He's studying it. And, you're not going to learn much about being wealthy if you study poverty. You're not going to learn much about health if you study disease. But if you study prosperity, if you study the universe, if you study these laws, then you start to understand and become aware of how to manifest. And so what Leo is doing is acknowledging and recognizing the power that he has to manifest, because it's the same power that created all reality. He is a co-creator of the divine creator. And he's now not just knowing it. There's a difference between learning about something and then acquiring it as a know-how. I think that was what Luis was talking about. There's knowledge and then there's know-how. You don't get paid for knowledge. Knowledge is not worth anything. Google has more knowledge than any human being, so that means Google outnumbers and makes every human being redundant. But know-how, Google does not have. People have know-how, turning the knowledge into know-how. So what Leo is doing is he's learning and learning and learning, and then applying what he's learning, because it's every day, it's turning it into know-how. And so the results that he's attracting is a consequence. It's just what happens when you turn knowledge into know-how, and it's the right knowledge, the knowledge of abundance. So if you're going to have a dream, a big dream like Royal Diamond, you got to be somebody who feels worthy of it to even attempt it. Because a person who doesn't feel worthy of it will never even attempt it. They won't even do the small stuff to get to the big stuff. So if you're having trouble with forward motion in this business, you don't have far to look. What you do need to do is reprogram the machine that's causing you to think the thoughts you're thinking. You need new thoughts. You need to entertain new thoughts. So these books that were just mentioned, make them your gospel, make them your daily exercise, because that's what it's going to take. You have to overcome the inertia of the stinking thinking, of the poverty consciousness. You've got to absorb this like a glass of water every day. There's a hand up. I'm not sure who it is. It's a Samsung.
That's me, Mike. I have a new phone, so I haven't set it up yet. I want to add to what you've been saying, pretty much teaching every week about adding new people. I love this time of year right now, because here we are in the middle of May. We just celebrated our mothers yesterday. Happy belated Mother's Day. It's Father's Day around the corner. It will be June next month. The rest of this month and these next 3 months have been, for me, over the last 18 years, the best time to share all sorts of great things about what we do. You've got grads and dads coming up, brides, you've got barbecues, we can do pink collagen parties. I mean, the list is endless. And I love a lot of kids are finding what to do. This will be a great time to, over the next 3 days, I give them a 90-day challenge. Do you have anybody in your family that's going off to college this fall? How about if I show them how they can earn some little extra money over the summer and just get them started that way? I've been doing that for a while. I haven't done it lately because I'm recovering from being ill, but I'm going to start doing that again. Let's try it for 90 days. And I give them a plan of how for 90 days they can make, some money to maybe pay for their schooling. Maybe by then they can be at the point where let's find out how I can pay for my education. Let's get Johnny out of my pockets, right? And they love that one when I tell them about, get your kids out of your pockets. So I love to get the young people. We were talking about young people. This is an excellent way to do it, and this is an excellent time. So I just thought I would add that.
Terrific. Awesome. I mean, again, this is not a negative thought. These are positive thoughts. These are ideas that we want to work on and attract. I think that's the thing is, if somebody said it to me, somebody was said it on this call, I think maybe it was you, Mary Ellen. You said that you didn't think that someone would respond, but you were, I put it in your words, I guess, Lynn, stop messing around with the computer. You just took over my screen. How do we get it back? You have to stop sharing, Lynn.
On that, I wanted to underline something. Bob Proctor coached me when we were going Royal Diamond, and we did the Waddle, the science of getting rich, Waddles be Waddle. But we had to every day read chapters 7, 11, 14, and in a certain way. It was in a certain way. And it was just tremendous because Igor was doing it, I was doing it, Steve, the whole team was doing this. No matter what else we were reading, we were always making sure we were doing these chapters. So I would say reread this book and then look at the highlights of those. But there was a certain order that we read them too.
Hey, if you can remember that, bring it back on next week's
I'm going to get my notes out.
I'll tell you why, because if we're not doing this, I mean, the best success, the greatest success that I've had, and the influences that have influenced others, and my children included, is the knowledge of the law of attraction. It's the knowledge that is imparted to us through these works. Wallace D. Waddle's book, The Science of Getting Rich, that was my favorite Bob Proctor seminar. It was at that seminar I actually set a goal for Royal Diamond. I was a diamond. We held the seminar here in Toronto. Bob did the seminar, and it was in that seminar he put me on the spot to actually set a goal. He covered that the science of getting rich and the laws of the universe. So it was an absolutely powerful. I can't remember, it was 2 or 3 days. I think it was 2, maybe 2.5 days. But everybody who was coached by Bob during the time that Bob was very integral in our Nikken business, our Nikken lives, all our events, they all can quote him today. And they can all look back on their achievements, and they will all give credit to Bob at some level, at some point, because he had a huge impact on the way we thought. He had a huge impact on the fact that we set goals, which was something we were not really in the habit of doing, except if you were a high achiever, maybe that's what you did. But we're talking about getting everybody on this chapter, everybody on this page, setting goals. And then he had a program called the Goal Achiever Program. My computer is right now sitting on top of one of his programs called Thinking into Results. That was one of the later programs that he put together. But at the end of the day, they're all saying the same thing. They're just packaged different. So this science of abundance, this knowledge, is as real as, the alphabet is as real as basic math. It is what it is. And if you are not aware of it, you're still experiencing it. Just like gravity, it's having an effect on you because it is a law that's inalienable to our nature. Every thought you think produces a result. Every thought you think produces a result. And it's the momentum of thoughts that produces a lifestyle, the way you live. And if you're in the habit of sabotaging yourself because you were told when you were a kid by your parents you would never amount to anything, and if you don't think something that happened 50 or 60 years ago isn't affecting you today, you're dead wrong. People still hold that stuff with them if they never ever confronted it. And it informs their thoughts and their patterns, and that's why they repeat patterns in their adult life. So how do you unravel that? The answer is you don't really unravel that. That takes a lot of time and energy. What you do is you reprogram with new thoughts. And that's why you start to digest these books like they're food daily. And when you do that, you start thinking new thoughts. You start experiencing new emotions. You start connecting the dots differently, and that impacts and informs you differently, which creates a different set of circumstances and therefore life experiences. So a successful business is not about Niken. It's not about pretty much anything I'm teaching you. It's about you and the way you go about life. If you are a success-oriented person, you could pick up a dart for the first time in your life and play darts, and by the end of the game, you'll probably be hitting bullseyes because that's just the way you work. If you're success-oriented, if you're somebody who is, I could never succeed at that, I could never play darts, you then won't even pick up a dart, would you? So
No.
That's life. That's the way it works. I want to have a successful Niken business, but I could never be successful. I could never build a Royal Diamond business. If that's what you're saying to yourself, then you're not going to do anything I teach. I could tell you the most basic thing and you'll still avoid doing it because you're convinced it doesn't matter what you do. And so we delude ourselves. So the goal here is to reprogram. Yes, Leo, last thought.
Before wrap up, don't miss the Psycho Guy. I gotta explain to you my 3 Ks are to success.
Okay, there you go. So if you're looking for some reasonable education on how to apply yourself in Niken with that right thought, then come to the Seiko Kai this weekend and hear Leo's 3 keys to success. I'm certainly looking forward to it. All right, everybody, have yourselves a great night. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all the commentary. This was a great call.
Thanks, Michael.
Max.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Michael. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Bye.